Resale red flags. Today we're going to talk about some of them. I'm Adrienne, longtime Florida realtor, and I'm here to help you get your Florida life. Happy Wednesday, everyone. If you're new here, new videos come out every Wednesday. You can subscribe to follow along. Or if you watch enough of these videos, the algorithms will just put them in front of you. A lot of people tell me that I am popping up on their TV screens. So be aware, you watch too many and you may not get rid of me. The algorithms get to know us all these days. Today we are talking about resale red flags. And we are also going to talk a little bit about things buyers bring up to me often that they feel is a red flag, and I'm going to say it's not. We'll kind of compare the two. Before we get started, though, I want you to think about where you lie on a spectrum of how important resale is to you. I work with people on that spectrum, from investors who resale is extremely important to, and people who say to me, this is our last house. I've had people say to me, you're going to have to carry me out of this house in a box. People say to me, this is our children's problem, meaning resale is their children's problem, not theirs. You might lie anywhere on the spectrum. Most people are concerned about resale, but it may not be their number one priority. So when you listen to this advice, I want you to understand that I am telling you, these are things that I see. If I sell a house 1 year, it's going to come up if they list it 5 years from now when we go to resell it. And you should also know that no home is perfect for resale. Nothing is going to hit all of the buttons. So if you love a home and you hear something on this list that doesn't fit this home or has a red flag, of course, every home has some sort of red flag. And I'm talking to you specifically if you're an overthinker, I hate to say it, but if you're an engineer, sometimes sailors fall into this because you're used to really taking everything apart. And I give you a list like this, and you can take this too far, is what I'm saying. And it can hurt you in the long run because you can miss out on very good houses. Also, you should know, if a house really were perfect for resale, it hit all the buttons in a neighborhood, it would also often be priced very high. The first red flag is a house that is overbuilt for the lot. What that means is the house is significantly better than the land or the lot, the location that it is built. The land or the location should be better or equal to the house. And the reason for this is the house is going to get old. All the things you love in the house right now, the quartz countertops, the new appliances, all of that, if you hold on to it in 10 years, all of that will be old. But the location, the land, the lot in Southwest Florida, a lot of times it is the waterfront that holds the value. So you want to think about, how is this going to age? Because waterfront doesn't really get old. That water's been there a long time. It's old already. Now, a lot of you want condition because you don't want to do work. You want it to already look that way. That's fine. You can certainly look for that. But that's where you get into, these are your desires. If you've renovated before and you don't want to renovate again, then maybe this rule I'm telling you is not very important to you. So this is how you think about where you fit into on the spectrum of resale versus your own wishes. That being said, I often hear people say, isn't it a red flag, this condition that this home is in? Nobody's going to buy it in this condition. Don't they need to do this, that, or the other thing before they can sell it? That has nothing to do with resale down the road, because you can change what is wrong with it. You can't change the land and the location, but you can change the interior. Again, that might not be for you, but that is not a resale red flag. And that includes big functioning items. We do see roofs needing to be replaced that are functioning just fine, but insurance companies are making people replace roofs here in Florida. I have lots of videos on insurance if you want to look into that, or you can email me and I'll explain it to you. But if a roof costs X amount of dollars where you're buying and you have two houses and one needs a kitchen and one needs a roof, this doesn't really matter. You're going to end up doing work unless you can live with the kitchen the way it is, which often I find that people want to renovate at a certain point. So this is not a red flag. In the future, you will have fixed the problem and you can resell it. Might be a red flag for you personally, but that is a different thing than resale red flag. Number 2, homes that are off balance from the lot. This sounds like the first one, but it's kind of the opposite thing. In this case, you have a fantastic lot or location, and it's so fantastic that when people settled here in the last 50 years and they had all the options, they often picked the best lots first. Well, now those homes, they can be renovated, but because of rules out there, sometimes they're built low, sometimes they are very choppy, they have sunken living rooms. Now, does not mean they will not sell, does not mean somebody won't buy them, they will for the great lot, but eventually those homes will be tear down. So you need to hold on to them long enough for the lot value to come up, or you just need to consider the price working with this off-balance home. Because what happens is when you have a couple, if 2 buyers who are married to each other or in a relationship or however, they're going to live in this home together, you might have one that says, oh my gosh, I don't care anything about the house. I just care about how fantastic this lot is. This happens a lot in the boating sections. We're close to open water. Look at all this seawall. It's great. But the other person is saying, I cannot work with this tiny kitchen. I cannot have all the grandkids come and these tiny rooms. Those houses, they work for a very long time and people will update them. But eventually, you should know, they will become tear downs and it will become too hard. So sometimes when the homes get too off balance, you have these fantastic lots and these homes that are tough. It's a very delicate thing to look at that pricing and to make sure you don't overbuy just because you're so excited about the lot. So that's red flag number 2. Now, all that being said, sometimes worse is better. If the floor plan is good and the lot is good, you can often find deals on houses that need a lot of work. I often tell my customers, I'd rather see old carpet than shiny white 1980s tile, because you're going to pay a lot of money to pull out some of this old tile, but old carpet is much less expensive. Also, there's no conundrum over, should we rip this out or not? Sometimes worse can be better if the overall layout, if it's fixable, to match the lot. Number 3 red flag, and that's non-conforming houses. I have touched on this before in videos. This is maybe a tough concept, but you want to look around at the neighborhood that you are buying in, and I don't mean it needs to be cookie cutter, all the houses. We don't really want them all to look the same. But for instance, if you're in a neighborhood where most of the houses are 2,000 square feet-ish, a house a similar size is probably what people are looking for. It gets difficult if all the houses are 3 or 4 bedrooms and you all of a sudden are looking at a house that is 6 bedrooms, because there's not a market for that. Now, I made a video and I talked about this a little bit before, and somebody brought up the old sailboat section in the comments. I thought that was a really good point, so I'm going to explain this a little bit to you. So the old sailboat section is the oldest section of Punta Gorda Isles. It's very interesting because the boating is fantastic, but you do, in this case, it's where people came first because the boating is so fantastic. And there are 1960s, 1970s homes in there, and then there are McMansions. So you think they don't really conform together at all. But because of the boating, because of the greatness of the lots, those 60s and 70s homes do sell, there is a market for them because they are much less expensive, and they sometimes go for very close to lot value. Now, this is a whole big topic because we can get into the air belt's low and flood insurance is higher, and there's a whole strategy to this, so I'm not going to get too wrapped up in it, but there is a market. There are buyers. Conforming houses create a market. If you've ever heard of business begets business, it's the same kind of thing. If you run into enough houses like what you're looking for, you start to go, oh, this is the neighborhood for me, and that is where you find where buyers are looking. Then they're looking for that neighborhood. So some sort of conformity really helps with resale. Now, sometimes over time you see that get stretched. I've seen houses get bigger over the years, even in my lifetime, in my real estate career. What used to be the average size house is smaller than now I see for certain neighborhoods. You can't control that, but it doesn't shoot up so quickly. So you want to get in what you see around you. Now, what is not a red flag is what your belief is a Florida home is. And what I mean by that is I get a lot of people who say things to me like, doesn't every Florida home need a pool for resale? Doesn't every Florida home need to be on the water for resale? Absolutely not. There are people who come down here who look for homes without pools. They've had a pool before and they don't want it. There are people who come down here and don't want to be near the water because they don't want flood insurance. There's all kinds of differences, but you want to look in a neighborhood that fits. So for instance, a lot of neighborhoods that have community pools, you don't see as many private pools. That's changing a little bit, but you don't see as many private pools. So where there's a community pool near the beaches, often those homes don't have as many private pools because people go to the beach. So you want to look around the neighborhood, and that will give you clues on what buyers are looking for and what you might be looking for in that neighborhood. Again, no house is perfect. If you say, I really don't want a pool, and I'm just using pool as an example, but if you say, I really don't want a pool, or I do want 5 bedrooms, but I do want to be in this neighborhood, those things come up. You can work around it. Just know that when you go to sell it, you might have a little smaller buyer pool. I often say about non-conforming homes, they can spend 6 months on the market looking for that special buyer, or they can spend 1 day because that special buyer is sitting around going, where's the 5 bedroom with no pool in this neighborhood coming up? And then it comes up. I hope that helps you in your real estate journey. If you want more help, please reach out. You can book a call with me in the comments below, or just shoot me an email, give me a call, and we will talk about your real estate goals. Thanks for watching. I will see you next week.